So first off, yesterday I talked about how the pop on Bitcoin on a Sunday morning that took us near that 30,000 level should not be trusted. And again, I've seen this before. I've actually talked about it in previous videos. You can see again yesterday it was a beautiful little pop up there, the tail really retesting the high from a few days earlier. And I said, listen, don't trust it. There's no volume here. What ends up happening? You reverse the entire move and close flat on the day. For those of you out there that have seen this now this time or multiple times in the past when I've kind of alerted you to it, make sure that you're learning about this, right? Make sure you're aware that you should not get too excited about a move on the weekend in cryptocurrency. There's no big money behind it. It's just whippiness created by algos, by other traders to try to lure unsuspecting investors into the long trade. Then guess who's unloading into those, right? Big money, smart money. They're just unload right into that, taking profits and exiting, basically handing off the bag to those investors. So again, absolute key right there. Today we're seeing a beautiful sell-off on Bitcoin as well. One of the things that I think is interesting here is that Bitcoin is dumping out pretty decently today, right? From a close yesterday of around 29,200, we're now at 27,800. And again, if you look at the equity markets today, the S&P 500 is essentially flat. And if I bring up the S&P here, you can see flat to slight positive day on the S&P 500. You are getting a little sell-off off of the highs today, but for the most part, the S&P is up 1 point. It's basically a flat day on the S&P. So that certainly isn't the culprit. You're not seeing a reduction in risk. The one thing that kind of caught my attention over the weekend and last week in crypto were these coins like Pepe and Gensler, and I've talked about that with you guys. When you see those signals, and I even said it in these very videos, that is a warning sign. All right, that is major pure gambling speculation. That is not the sign of a bottom in anything. It is the sign of a top. And sure enough, again, today, crypto dumping out to the downside. Bitcoin, again, dropping, trading at 27,800 and change. Now, in technical terms, does this really matter that much? No. I mean, you're still within this range. You're still between 30,500 and 27,000. So you're just in between here. But the point, again, is that we're watching to see which line does it hit on more times because that will weaken the level. All right, so again, just watching this closely here, we want to keep an eye on this 27,000 level. If we come down just another 800, 900 points, we're retesting that level. Does it break? And if it breaks, do we head down to 25,000? All right, you guys obviously know that we have the short signal out there, both on Bitcoin as well as ETH. And again, I'm sure so many of you guys have, been pulling. It's been pulling at your heartstrings in a way because everywhere you turn, there's just bullish sentiment on crypto, bullish sentiment on Bitcoin. Again, you're hearing about the demise of the dollar. You're hearing about X, Y, and Z. You're hearing about all this stuff, the banking crisis. And again, that emotional tug on you have to be strong enough to withstand. If you're not, you're going to get whipped out. And ultimately, people like that end up losing their money. It's just the nature of the markets. The markets, again, the best way to describe asset markets, whether it's crypto, stocks, commodities, essentially shark-infested water, where when you get emotional, that's when the big great white shark comes out and just chomps on you and just takes you to lunch, eats you for lunch, and you're just left there, basically with one less limb or more, essentially. So you have to be really careful in these markets. You have to become mentally strong. And again, I think one of the least talked about but most important parts of investing is the mental side, the psychological side. And you guys know I've talked about it all the time. In fact, I just hired a peak performance coach for my trading floor here in the office because the mental side is of the utmost importance. All right, just one little flip of the mental side can literally cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I need to stay on point at all times. Think Wendy from Billions, the show Billions on Showtime. Very cool show, by the way. But again, that's the concept there. It's all mental. All right, the technicals, and I've said this to you guys, I could teach anyone the technicals. Here's support, here's resistance, here's how you draw a trend line, here's a topping tail, here's a bottoming tail, head and shoulders. It's all standardized. It's all about can you, when you're put in a position, when something's getting crushed, do you know the levels? Are you strong enough mentally to ignore the fear that's coming in or the hype, the FOMO, and get on the right side of the trade, all right, without chasing? So anyways, I think these type of things are the utmost important, and again, we'll see again how it trades out, but right now, Bitcoin, again, beautiful little dip. Let's look at Ethereum here, and Ethereum, look at this, guys. Did I just talk about literally on the weekend, late last week, we talked about the bearish consolidation. Remember how this chart pattern was more bearish than the Bitcoin chart pattern? This one was the one that was most likely going to reattack this level and break down. Well, look at what's happening. It is reattacking that 1815. All right, so again, reattacking this level right here. If it breaks, you're headed to 1700. Again, we are in the money on both trades at this point. That's fine and dandy. My goal here, I'm swinging on the short side based on probabilities, based on facts, not based on hopes and dreams, which is what most people are buying Bitcoin. When you're buying Bitcoin at 30,000 because it pierced the 30,000, you're not following technicals. I guarantee that, because the technicals are showing the opposite. It's showing resistance. So you're following the trend. You're following the herd. You're a sheep. You don't want to be a sheep. Sheep are led to the slaughter, right? And again, just kind of, I know I'm preaching to the choir. You guys obviously are members here, but that's something that you have to fully be aware of, all right? So again, just keep that in the back of your mind. So again, support on Ethereum right here. If it breaks, you're headed to 1700. That would put us in the money pretty nicely on the trade should it get there. Let's look at Matic. Remember how Matic was continuing to just barely hold on to support? Look at this, guys. Yesterday, Matic closed below the line, breaking down today. It is right at this little pivot low right here, which matches this pivot low here at 94 cents, 95 cents. But again, for me, this is not a good sign for Matic. Again, breaking trend line. I'm looking at downside. There'll be a little bit of support coming in around 91, 92, 93 cents, but even that is too close after this consolidation. I'm going to start looking for a much lower move towards the $75 to $76 level. All right, so let's keep that on our radar as well. Looking at Cardano. Cardano, again, nice little pop, but reversing. Yes, it has support right here around 38 cents. Be aware, if it breaks that, you're headed down to this crisscross area right here. 34 cents is your technical support level. Let's take a look at Polkadot. Same thing. Look at Polkadot consolidating. Remember, we talked about the bear flag here. That's a classic 45 to 90 degree angle. Down move, 45 degree angle, right against support. It breaks support. Target again, $5.15. Next up, let's take a look at Solana. Solana, again, was starting to push up. Now it's right back to this upsloping trend line. It does have support here and here, but really to me, again, this sideways chop very likely to yield a move down to about $19.50. Then we'll have to see if it holds that level. But right now, that is the level you're watching. And again, you are on support here, but these are minor supports now, not major supports. All right, let's just continue right through a lot of these guys. Here's your Avalanche. Now, Avalanche, again, pivot low to pivot low. We touched it a few days ago. We're reattacking it today. There is support here, but again, it's not buyable support. It's only a minor level, and therefore, if it breaks, you should expect a bigger move down to potentially the $14 range. Would I be a buyer at 14 if it got there by Wednesday or Thursday? The answer is heck yeah, I would. That would be a very solid level, very, very solid level on the chart of Avalanche. All right, so again, just going through a lot of these, we can look at XRP. XRP, a little bit of a rollover, still has a fair ways to go before it hits this support level right here. But again, nice little downtick on this. Again, support would be around 43 cents. And again, like I've said to you guys, I mean, you know, whenever they decide to unveil this judge's decision, that'll be where we get more clarity on Ripple. It's really going to come down to that judge's decision. Why is it taking so long? I've hypothesized that essentially the judge's decision is done already. It's already been made, but they're not releasing it until the CBDCs comes out from the Federal Reserve. So you're just waiting on that. I believe that that's also a reason why we don't have the regulatory framework yet, because they want to launch the CBDC first so it gets a foothold. By the way, this is exactly what China did. China outlawed essentially Bitcoin, brought their digital yuan public, and now they're relaxing and saying, oh, okay, now we have a stronghold with our digital yuan. Now we can let that Bitcoin become a thing again. All right, because they have the foothold. This is exactly the playbook that the Chinese did is the U.S. It's a slight variation because they're not outlawing Bitcoin, but essentially they're keeping everyone in the dark on regulation until they unveil the CBDC. All right, guys, you have a wonderful rest of your day. Nice dip on the cryptos. Let's see where we go tomorrow. Take care.